Once upon a time, in the heart of a lush valley cradled by rolling emerald hills, there lay a village called Elmswood. From afar it looked like a painting come to life, a scattering of stone cottages with ivy-clad walls, their chimneys breathing thin ribbons of smoke into the wide blue sky. Narrow dirt paths wound between gardens overflowing with marigolds, lavender, and climbing roses. At the edge of the village ran the Elmswood River, clear and bright, its waters tumbling over smooth pebbles and reflecting the sun like a trail of scattered jewels. Summer in Elmswood was not merely a season, it was a celebration. The air thrummed with the music of cicadas hidden among the tall grasses. Butterflies drifted lazily from flower to flower, and children ran barefoot through the meadows, their laughter rising like birdsong. The scent of warm hay and honey lingered in the breeze, and every evening the sky turned to molten gold before fading into a canopy of stars so brilliant it seemed the heavens had lowered themselves closer to the earth. It was during such a summer, one that felt brighter and longer than any before, that the mysterious traveler arrived. She came at dawn, when the mist still clung to the riverbanks. The first to see her was old Tomas, the miller, who had risen early to check the water wheel. He would later swear that the sun itself had paused in its ascent when the woman rode into view. Her horse was white as fresh snow, its mane flowing like silk in the morning light. The traveler sat tall in the saddle, her cloak the deep blue of twilight, her dark hair braided with tiny silver beads that chimed softly as she moved. Behind her saddle hung a wooden box, worn with age yet adorned with intricate carvings that seemed to shift and shimmer if one looked at them for too long. By the time she reached the village square, the mist had lifted and the villagers had gathered, drawn by curiosity. She introduced herself simply as Mara. Her voice was warm and low, carrying a melody that made even the busiest hands pause. She asked for nothing more than a place by the river where she could rest for a few days. But it was the box that caught everyone's attention. It was unlike any object they had ever seen, its surface etched with symbols of stars, trees, waves, and creatures both familiar and strange. When the sunlight touched it, the carving seemed to glow faintly, as though remembering some ancient magic. Whispers spread through Elmswood like wind through wheat. "An enchanted chest," said the baker's wife. "A relic from a forgotten kingdom," murmured the blacksmith. "A storyteller's treasure," guessed the schoolmaster. Mara neither confirmed nor denied their theories. She only smiled. That evening, as the heat of the day softened into the gentle coolness of dusk, the children of Elmswood gathered by the riverbank where Mara had made her camp. A small fire crackled beside her, sending sparks into the violet sky. Fireflies blinked into existence among the reeds, and the river sang its endless lullaby. Mara placed the wooden box before her. "Inside this box," she said, "are stories." The children leaned closer. She opened it, and though those watching could see nothing inside but darkness, a breeze stirred the air, carrying with it the faint scent of pine forests, ocean spray, and distant rain. Then she began. Her words wove pictures so vivid that the children forgot the feel of the grass beneath them. They rode on the backs of great birds above golden deserts. They wandered through cities of glass beneath the sea. They spoke with foxes who wore crowns and climbed mountains that touched the moon. Night after night, the stories continued, each more wondrous than the last. Yet one evening, when the sky burned crimson and the first stars trembled into being, Mara's voice took on a different tone. "Tonight," she said softly, "I will tell you the tale of the endless summer." The children drew closer still. "Long ago," Mara began, "in a kingdom where the sun never set beyond a gentle twilight and the air was always warm, there lived a princess named Seraphina. In this kingdom, summer ruled eternal. The gardens were forever in bloom, their colors so bright they seemed spun from light. Fountains danced in courtyards of white marble. Musicians played beneath orange trees heavy with fruit, and laughter echoed through the palace halls. Seraphina had grown up in this world of golden days and perfumed nights. She ran through fields of sunflowers, wove garlands of jasmine, and swam in lakes as clear as glass. She loved her home. And yet, In the quiet hours of the afternoon, when the heat stilled the world and even the birds fell silent, she would sit in the palace library, turning the fragile pages of ancient scrolls. They spoke of things she had never seen. Snow falling like feathers from the sky. Leaves turning to fire and drifting from trees. The first shy blossoms of spring pushing through frost-kissed earth. The more she read, the more a longing grew within her, a longing for change, for the unknown, for the beauty of things that did not last forever. One day, wandering beyond the palace gardens, she discovered a hidden grove deep within the forest. The air there was cooler, filled with the murmur of unseen streams. In the heart of the grove stood an enormous oak, its branches spreading like a cathedral roof. Perched upon one of its limbs was an owl with feathers the color of dusk and eyes like molten amber. Osric, he introduced himself, his voice as deep as the earth. Seraphina spoke of her longing. The owl listened. Then he told her of the crystal of seasons, hidden in the heart of the enchanted mountain, a gem that held the power to awaken winter, autumn, and spring. But such a journey will change you, Osric warned. Seraphina did not hesitate. She set out at dawn, dressed not as a princess but as a traveler. The road beyond the kingdom was wild and unpredictable. She crossed rivers that roared with melted snow from distant peaks. She climbed cliffs where the wind howled like a living thing. She solved riddles carved into ancient stones that guarded forgotten paths. In a meadow lit by silver moonlight, she met Felix, a fox with fur like burning copper and eyes full of mischief. In a forest where the trees grew so close their branches formed living walls, she met Delia, a gentle deer who could sense danger before it came. Together they journeyed on. They entered the enchanted forest, where shadows moved without source and the trees whispered in languages older than time. There were moments when the path vanished and they had to trust their hearts to guide them. Moments when fear pressed close, and moments when laughter rang out, bright and fearless. At last they reached the enchanted mountain. Its peak pierced the clouds, its slopes carved with glowing runes. At its summit lay a cavern, and within it, upon a pedestal of black stone, rested the crystal of seasons. Guarding it was a dragon. Its scales shimmered like living flame, its eyes burned with ancient sorrow. Seraphina did not draw a weapon. She spoke. She learned of the curse that bound the dragon, a punishment for a forgotten crime, a loneliness that had stretched across centuries. And she made an offer. "Share my kingdom's endless summer," she said, "and be free." No one had ever offered the dragon anything before. The cavern filled with light as the curse shattered. The dragon bowed its great head. Seraphina took the crystal and began the journey home. When she placed it in the palace garden, the world changed. Snow fell for the first time, soft, silent, miraculous. The people ran into the streets, laughing as the cold kissed their cheeks. Autumn followed, painting the trees in gold and crimson. Spring awakened the earth with blossoms and birdsong. The kingdom was no longer endless summer. It was something far more beautiful. It was alive with change. Back by the river in Elmswood, Mara's voice fell silent. The children sat motionless, as if waking from a dream. Fireflies drifted through the air, their tiny lights blinking like distant stars. Mara closed the wooden box. "Remember," she said gently, "magic is not in the stories alone. It is in the way they change you." That summer in Elmswood became a season the villagers would speak of for years to come. The children began to see their world differently, the way the river changed its song after rain, the way the sky shifted colors at dusk, the way even the oldest tree grew new leaves. And one morning, just as quietly as she had arrived, Mara was gone. Only the circle of stones by the river remained, and sometimes, if the light was just right, the faint sound of silver beads chiming in the breeze. But the stories stayed. They lived in the hearts of the children, in their games, in their dreams, in the way they grew. And every summer after that felt a little more magical, as though somewhere, just beyond sight, a wooden box was opening and a voice was beginning another tale. don't forget to subscribe our channel.